Let's have a quick look. Good evening. It is 16th of June 2022, Pacific Standard Time, USA. This is Planet Earth, and this is the Astrodoodle for today. Thank you, anyone who's visiting. I'm recording these things live now because it just saves me a lot of time and energy, and I don't know. It's just a personal thing. I don't know about you, but it's very hard not to notice what's going on now on planet Earth with all the shenanigans. Let's just call it, I think of it as just shenanigans and mischief and lies and everything. When I look at this massive, like, hard square here, the Neptune energy hard squaring with the Gemini sun, global communications, global commerce, facts, knowledge like schools, teaching, international commerce, just the connectivity of life, the way people connect with each other, internets and all that. I mean, I know the internet is really like a Uranus thing, but it's, the Twitters, everything goes through all these communications systems. And a few days ago, as you know, we had that full moon where the moon was up here in Sagittarius, and we had this big fat T-square over here, moon in Sagittarius, sun in Gemini, and then Neptune in Pisces. And it became just nauseatingly obvious about the fraud, the lies, the deception, the betrayal that is going across planet Earth at the moment by these communication giants who really, basically, I would say, peddle propaganda. Okay, they take information and they spin it in such a way that it effectively turns into mind control and propaganda for an agenda. I prefer to go to sources of information that just give you the information, and then you can make your own decisions about what's going on. And I talked about that a couple of days ago, how the Gemini Sagittarius axis represented like global truth, universal laws, universal truth, and then how do you distill that down here back into humanity in terms of communication that we can understand and accept and believe. And there we have Neptune in the middle, the great deceiver, the great dissolver, and you end up with the most sick, most perverse distortions. And of course, so we have these wars going on in social media and global communications, like what's true, what's false. And you even have fact-checker organizations. And there are fact-checker organizations that are highly biased towards this side of the story, and fact-checkers that are highly biased towards this side of the story. So what's the point? You have to figure it out for yourself. What do you believe? I know where I stand. I'm very clear on it. One of the challenges I have is that you get people like myself, when there's millions of us, we get tagged and branded as nutcases, conspiracy theorists and paranoids, and we should just get on board with the global agenda, World Economic Forum and all that stuff. So I have to be careful on the channel because I'm trying to stay neutral, but I still want to present different sides of the story. You might notice that when these videos come out now, YouTube is adding like a please read bar under the video, just to remind people that there is an established, determined nature and identity for news sources in places like the World Economic Forum, which is being, let's say, promoted across the world in a way that presents this beautiful, utopian new world order, essentially. And I did some videos about that yesterday. I was hoping everybody would see that and get the links so you can do a lot of your own homework. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more of that today as well. It makes it easier for you to, verify for yourself what's real, what's not real. Because there's a tremendous amount of fraud, lies, betrayal, and deception going on in the global media right now. The biggest one, of course, is the January 6th committee that was happening in Washington, D.C. in America. There's a big story about, what actually happened on January 6th regarding the American elections at that time, where there was this big dispute, and it's still going on, about who really is the president in America. I am not a highly established multi-million subscriber account like Awaken with JP or Russell Brand. They're very big, very successful channels, and they make it their business to provide very, very enlightening, fun, satirical interpretations of the kind of materials that we talk about here. I'm not a professional comedian, and I don't have their kind of skills, so I don't even try. But those folks, I'm just mentioning that again, Russell Brand, he's very good at making fun of these self-appointed leaders. And the other one is Awaken JP. He's on YouTube as well. You might have seen him. I'll show you that in a little minute here. Now, the beautiful thing is that we do have a little bit of, I would say, strength and harmony with the Pluto in Capricorn, very harmonious with Venus in Taurus over here. And what that tells me, it's a stabilization of what's actually happening in the global financial system. What's actually happening is almost like chaotic demolition, as you can see over here. Okay, Saturn is in a very hard square with basically everything to do with global finances right now. And in case you haven't noticed, the global financial system is under extreme stress. Markets are imploding and collapsing everywhere. Stock values are imploding. Portfolios are imploding. Places like Vanguard and BlackRock and State Street and Fidelity and what's his name? Berkshire Hathaway and all those things. They have, if this is the value of their portfolio, it went from here to here. And that's really, really scary. We're talking trillions and trillions of dollars just getting wiped out. Some of it's happening simply because Uncle Joe opens his mouth and says something, and people go, oh my God, what has he said now? And the markets crash even further. He's blaming it on, there's a big war in Europe. He's blaming it on the president of Russia. He's blaming it on God, anything and everything you can think of except his policies. I'm not going to get into a tirade about that stuff. I just want to do my astrodoodle for the day. We also have a lot of harmony, interestingly enough, between Saturn in Aquarius retrograde and the Moon in Gemini. It's a very, very strong. These are these trines here. This is a trine. This is a trine. They're very big. They're very strong. They're really powerful, and they're adding a degree of stability and harmony in what would otherwise be a very, let's say, unstable situation. This instability is here. The instability is here. Okay. And we can see it all around us. Yesterday I pointed out something that we really need to pay attention to. We're looking ahead now. I'm looking ahead to, it's about 6 weeks from now. Mars, as I mentioned earlier, Mars is going to be conjoining with Uranus, okay, from here to here. And we've already seen what happened when Mars conjoined Jupiter here, when Mars conjoined Saturn here, when Mars conjoined Neptune here. I guarantee we're going to have some kind of highly disruptive, chaotic events in the world, probably most especially to do with global finances, like the markets, the cryptos, all these countries that are imploding. If you look at like a world map, there's a lot of countries that are really, really basically financially imploding right now as a direct result of what's happening in Washington, D.C., courtesy of the United States Federal Reserve. They just informed the world that they are raising interest rates by 0.75%. Okay? I know that doesn't sound much. 0.75%. But it's the biggest one-day rate hike in about 40 years. And this is happening on top of previous rate hikes in the last few weeks and few months. And if you do deep studies of finance and global finance, you'll understand, like, with inflation, the value of your dollar is going down. Let me just see if I can do it like this. The more money they print, the more stimulus they hand out, the more the value of your dollar goes down. Okay? And the cost to borrow goes up. So what happens? This is what we're witnessing today, right now, in real time. It's the crash of the dollar, and it's going to keep crashing. There's no real other outcome here. The Fed, United States Federal Reserve, only has two tools. They can print money, or they can stop printing money. They can raise interest rates, or they can lower interest rates. That's it. And those two tools have incredibly profound effects on the United States, but also across the rest of the world, China and every other country in the world. We've been printing money almost to infinity, and what, of course, that is doing is destroying the value of our dollar, because these folks, they don't have any other options anymore. They've taken their game as far as it will go. It is a classic cycle that's been going on in humanity for thousands of years, ever since the Roman Empire, when they were, cutting bits and pieces off the sides of coins. So in order to counter this, they actually did something in the 1970s, the late 70s, I think early 80s, to counter this effect, because something similar was happening back then at the time, but at that time the dollar was much more valuable. But the drop today is very, very extreme. The way to counter that is, so they call this, according to the U.S. Fed, we've got about, I would say, 9% global dollar inflation. Okay, it's devastating to the world economy. It's devastating to America right now. Just have to look at any local news or major news, whether it's the mainstream media or your own alternatives, whatever. This is raw information, and the United States economy is going, okay? Now, my personal feeling is that 9% is a serious underestimate. I think it's more like 13 or more. So in order to counter that, what they did back in the 70s was they raised interest rates so that this would happen. The cost of borrowing money and the decrease in the amount of money goes like that. And when they do that, it wipes out inflation, and it brings the markets back into alignment again, where you have a close correlation between the value of the dollar and what it's really worth, like in terms of gold, or what it's worth in terms of foreign exchange currencies to other countries. But right now, the problem with the United States Fed is that they've already taken the interest rates down to more or less 0%. They can't take it any further. And they've already printed money to infinity. So the problem that they're having over here is they know that if they want to solve this problem, which is devastating the world economy right now, they have to raise interest rates to 13%. And they have to stop printing money. That sounds very easy to do, but the moment they do that, the global economy will literally explode overnight, and vast amounts of apparent value will be basically nuked out of the global markets. The little illustration I mentioned before, let's say this is Vanguard, okay? My hands represent the full stack of wealth inside Vanguard, Fidelity, BlackRock, State Street, all those folks, Berkshire Hathaway, and dozens of others. Trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, okay? Let's say this is the full amount. It would, if they actually did what needs to be done to fix the problem, all of this stuff here would be wiped out and go from here to here. That people would be jumping off of buildings, and we wouldn't just have Sri Lanka and Lebanon and Argentina, Venezuela, Ecuador, most of Africa, most of Southeast Asia, parts of China and over here wouldn't be collapsing. It would be a complete, utter global financial implosion everywhere. But the thing is, what that actually means is just you're recalibrating the value and the price of everything back to reality. Okay? They don't want to do that, because if they do that, it creates what I would call natural equity in the markets, where all the people and the banksters who profited from their shenanigans basically get wiped out, and what's left is just 8 billion poor people. And you start from scratch again. Obviously the rich people aren't going to let that happen. They've already figured out a plan. It's called the New World Order. All right, let me just do something over here. Let me see if I can do this without messing up. Let me see, how can I do that? Okay, I've got over here. Well, let me just say hi first of all. Directly to my email over here, send some PayPal. You can even do the super chats. It still works on my channel. Anyway, cheers everybody. I've really reduced the amount of beverages that I like to drink. All right, let me see if I can do this. I had a sort of a plan, but it's very fragile in the moment, because the things that I'm trying to communicate and get across are coming from multiple different angles, and I'm highly discombobulated by all of it, and I'm trying to present myself as though I'm very orderly and as though I've really got my SHIT together. I think what I'll do is something like this. Give me a second. How am I going to do this? Okay. I don't want to put any gory images, okay, but I want to do something that you've probably all heard about already. Hold on, hold on, give me a second. Sorry, I should have prepared this better. I've got a whole presentation here sorted out, but it's not quite right. Let me see if I can do this better. Alright. Alright, so okay, I'm just going to try and keep it safe, okay? I don't want to scare people or anything like that. The thing that shocked me today was, this is, let me see if I can, again, sorry, I'm stumbling because I'm not used to presenting things the way I'm trying to present them right now. So let me see if I can do this. I'm going to show you some. I'm going to share the screen. See if I can do it this way. This is what absolutely scared the Let me just try something. Oh, it's me. I'm sorry. Hold on. Apparently the sound's been really screwed up. Damn! I'm really screwing up here tonight. I'm effing up everything there is to F up. Alright, you should be able to hear me now. Sorry, I was ranting there, spouting into the camera, thinking people could hear me. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Let me backtrack. I think you could, as far as I know, the sound was okay when I was talking about the little astrodoodle here. And I asked you if you'd be interested in donating, and so I clicked something on my donate page, and I showed that to you. Okay, let's forget about it. I'm just going to go through the stuff verbally, and then I'm going to create a really short video, and I'm going to have to record it here and post it, because there's a lot of technology that does not work on live streams, that I can only do on recordings, and there's a lot of things on the recordings and the publishings and the postings that I can't do on the live streams. And I kind of got mixed up in my brain about which is which and what was what. And I'm sorry about that. Okay? Thank you, Diana. I'm literally doing the best I can. I woke up very late for me at about 8 a.m. and I discovered that the little betta fish sushi was suffering from this fungal outbreak on her body. She's very old. She's a little old lady. And she also has bulging eye syndrome, which is because she's had some injuries, but it's more likely it's infections from poor maintenance. And I'm the one who does the maintenance, and I've been in kind of shock all day because of the little fish being in so much trouble. But anyway, I did some energy healing with a friend of mine, and she reactivated a little bit, and I had very much a very, very powerful one-on-one, let's say, I don't know how to describe it, psychic medium encounter with myself and the little sushi fish. And it's like I'm already forgiven, but she is suffering. So I'm doing everything I can, so don't worry about it. But then as soon as I got up and started getting on with my day, I heard the news. I think it was either late last night or very early this morning again, just after myself getting up, where I saw everything about the thousands and thousands of cows that died in Kansas overnight. And I was mentioning that it kind of affected me personally because I have family in Kansas. Farming families, it's all farming out there. I have a lot of farming families, okay? And I guarantee the way cattle works and feedlots work and farmers work, people that I know are very, very wholesome, loving, down-to-earth, caring people. The last thing that they would do is slaughter their own animals in some kind of insurance fraud scam. And there are other people like myself who believe that there is some kind of very, very dark, sinister sabotage going on. And that these animals did not die by accident. Okay, these were beautiful, beautiful animals. Yes, they're raised in very intense farming conditions, and they're going to end up on your plate as hamburger and steak, and it's going to be flown all over the world. But they're still beautiful, beautiful animals. They're not free-range, total free-range grass-fed like some of the really, really top-end beef who actually have a life, and they don't even know that they're going to a processing plant at the end of their life. They just think they're going on a little road trip. But most of these, anyway, the point is it was a very disturbing, sickening, nauseating experience when I saw about the cattle. And so that made me very, very angry. And I thought there's really nothing I can do about it. But I thought maybe I could communicate what I was feeling, because I'm sure it's the same for millions of other people. There are a lot of people in the world who are very, very suspicious about what's happening. Okay? There's this something called the New World Order, which is being rebranded and repackaged as the World Economic Forum. People have different perceptions. They present themselves as a very deeply caring organization that really has no governing body. These are not elected people. They are an extremely elite group of people. And at Davos last month, there was about 2,500 there, basically trying to figure out how they're going to take over the world and run it the way they believe the world should be run. And they actually come from their best of intentions. But when people like myself listen to what they say and observe what they do, it doesn't work for me, okay? There are a lot of people like myself around the world, millions of people who are starting to wake up that there's something very, very wrong. In other words, we have that pyramid of power. I showed that to you on the other video. There's more visuals I wanted to present you, but I can't find them. They had this beautiful presentation of the pyramid of power, and control and money, and these beautiful presentations from the World Economic Forum about how they envisage the world. And I've been digging all day and I can't find this stuff. It's out there. I know it is, but I just can't seem to find it right now. So I'm highly agitated, highly frustrated, because I'm trying to communicate and share information that I believe is very valuable. I'm just not an expert on this stuff. Anyway, so after I saw that cow news, I was very disturbed, and I started, doing what a lot of people do, dig around on the internet, and I look at, the second house, Taurus energy. I look at Uranus, the North Node, and Venus, and I see how it's in a very hard square with Saturn in Aquarius. It makes me very, very disturbed. And I'm looking at a page right now, but I can't show it to you. So I'm going to try and do this properly later when I finish here. I'm going to buzz through this, then I'm going to make another video to basically supplement this video. But as you probably know by now, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of food processing plants that are erupting in flames and explosions all across America. And it's happening in such a bizarre way that you can't look at this as just nature. This is not an accident. And so you have to start asking yourselves these very disturbing questions. What is actually going on here? And the people I hang out with, we already have a very good idea what's going on, but it's very difficult to talk about it on social media. I mean, YouTube is actually being very kind to let me keep going. I've got a few notes come from them that let me know that they think I'm doing a really good job of censoring myself to fit with the algorithm, but there is a kind of a buffering thing happening with the channel. So I'm very happy, and to some degree, about that. I'm going to buzz through this now. I'm going to show you this list in another video. I'm going to show you about the cattle in another video. I'm going to show you about the World Economic Forum. Okay? And it's all super squeaky clean, and it's very big, 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 big money, globalists. I'm going to show you what's going on in Davos. I'm going to show you a couple of, let's say, satirists who are very wealthy, very successful YouTube channels who've already carved out a very stable, successful audience and a relationship with YouTube that allows them to do extremely, let's say, effective satire on the subject matters that I lack in ability to create high volume, high success satire. I'm impressed by these people, so I'll share that with you. And I already showed you this one, but I want to share a couple of people who I trust, who do a lot of very deep diving work. One of them is Neil McCoy Ward, another one is Mark Moss. There's a few others. I'm going to basically try to share all these sources with you because I want you to see what I see and understand what I understand and understand where I'm coming from and how I come from, the way I come from. Hello, Ivona. Let's see. How can I do this better? Okay, so, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to wrap up this live video very quickly, and I'm going to reprocess everything and get it ready. I'm going to make a really short, sweet video with like lots of little mini presentations that will get you basically to where I am. So we have like a common ground, and I'll be drawing from information and sources that are available all over the world, and they're reputable, highly respectable, and even though they represent the contrary views, like I'm very contrarian, I do not really subscribe to the mainstream media. They do report all the really, really big stuff, but they report it in such a way that doesn't work for me. So that's why I look for alternative explanations and understandings and perspectives. And when I find those, they resonate to me as purity and honesty and truth. And so I have a good balance. I'm aware of both sides, and I think I'm trying to be fair. I know where I stand personally. Most of you know where I stand personally. It's all about protect your money, protect your privacy, protect yourself, okay? Number one, love thyself. It's the hardest thing on earth to do. I'm not talking about being a megalomaniac, narcissist, sociopath. I'm literally talking about love thyself. Okay. How can I do this? I think what I'm going to do, I'm literally going to wrap this out right now, very quickly, and just kind of, I'm going to, actually, I've already got the, no, I'm not going to go there. Give me a second here. Yeah. I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll wrap this out now, okay? And in about half an hour